Look, my name is Stan Bell, serving you well and pushing more power. Somebody ought to finish that for me. Than a Duracell. That's what's up. Dr. King in this thing. Oh, Dr. King. Somebody say Brooklyn's in the house. Yeah. Flatlands to be exact, right? Hey, I did my homework, doctor. Check this out. We are at Opportunity Across America. We're about ready to get started, so everybody kind of get to your seats, get where you're going to be. Media, stay where you are in the middle. If you're with press, anybody with broadcast journalism, we want you to kind of veer in the middle wherever you are. We're about ready to get started. I'm standing down here because I wanted to make it kind of personal and intimate. Okay? So what I want to do is I want to shout out some of these schools who are here, and then we'll get this party started because it's all about education. Right, Dr. King? For sure. John B. The B is for Brooklyn, I know, right? Hey. It's Tresman in the house. Tresman Bears in the house. Well, why don't you have any purple on? Okay, it's there, it's there. Douglas in the building, make some noise. Where's Douglas? Red Devils, I see you. Kingsbury, what's up? Central. Somebody said the high school. Ron Egypt, where are you? Okay, 2 people. All right, big shout out to our friends from Manassas. Are you in the building? Manassas over there, home of the Tigers. East Mustangs. And I want to shout out Power Center Academy. If you're here, I see you over there. And a big shout out to Memphis Business Academy as well as the Memphis School of Excellence and City University. All right, and of course, our home team, Craigmont. All right. Real quickly, we do have a program for you. We're excited. The United States Secretary of Education is in the building, Dr. John B. King, and so many other elected officials and dignitaries who are here, commissioners, and some of our school board commissioners, as well as Shelby County commissioners. We just want to say thank you for coming out to Craigmont High School. Dr. Dura, we love you. Nothing you can't do about it. Nothing you can do about it. Superintendent Hobson, much love to you, Soup. Yes, right. I hear the hand claps. Give Superintendent Dorsey E. I don't know what I said that E stood for. Educational work. Dorsey E. Hobson the second. Hometown excellence. And to everybody who is here to meet and greet our United States Secretary of Education, the one and only Dr. John B. King Jr. I got to throw that in, Brooklyn. You from the Flatlands, you got to emphasize that. Your daddy would want it that way. Yeah, yes, he would. John Sr. I did my homework, doctor. Thank a teacher. So here we are at Craigmont, home of the Chiefs. We're ready for this. The tour continues. Dr. King has been around from city to city. We're now in the Southeast region, and we're excited that he is here. On behalf of the President of these United States, the Honorable Barack Obama, let's give him a big hand. We have love for Arnie Duncan, but now you are the man. Yes, you are. So we're glad you're here, everybody. Tim, you ready? All right, at this point, I'd like to bring up a young lady who is also a Craigmont Chief. She has a GPA of 3.95, optional student, honor roll student. She's on so many different organizations here at Craigmont. Would you please welcome? Where did she go? There she is. Give it up for Ariel Walton. All right.
Good afternoon, students, Secretary King, Superintendent Hobson, elected officials, and all attendees. My name is Ariel Walton. I'm a senior at Craigmont High School, home of the Mighty Chiefs. I am proud to represent all my fellow classmates today. It's my honor to introduce our superintendent of Shelby County Schools. Dorsey Hobson is the product of SCS, graduating from Whitehaven High School. He attended the University of Memphis, receiving his Bachelor's of Arts with honors, and then graduated magna cum laude from Georgia State University College of Law. After spending years at a prominent Atlanta-based law firm, Mr. Hobson served as the public school assistant in Georgia before bringing his talents back to the Bluff City to serve as general counsel for SCS. Since 2013, he has proudly served as the superintendent of his home school district. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we welcome Superintendent Dorsey Hobson to the stage.
Good afternoon. Let me just say, good afternoon. Students, let me just say to each and every one of you all, we are all so proud of each and every one of you all. Students, you all represent our future, and for where I'm standing right now, our future is very bright, and we're just proud of you. Proud of you. I want you to keep up the good work. To our families, our principals, our teachers, our board members, our elected officials, and everyone in attendance, it's an honor to be here this afternoon welcoming the United States Secretary of Education, Mr. John King, to our beautiful city, and most importantly, to Craigmont High School. Mr. Secretary, we have some of the most dedicated, hard-working teachers and school leaders in this entire country, and they're making a very positive impact for kids. If you're a teacher or a school leader for the Shelby County Schools, could you please stand and be recognized? Let's give them a huge round of applause. Now, students, it's very important that you understand the significance of today's event and the potential life-changing impact that it can have on you and all of your fellow students. Secretary King has a huge job. He and his team are responsible for establishing federal policies and programs and coordinating federal assistance that each and every one of you all in this room can take advantage of. He is President Obama, and can we give President Obama a huge round of applause? He is President Obama's top education advisor, and he works with the president every single day to improve education. His mission is to serve America's students, that's you all, to promote student achievement and prepare you for the global workforce. I've got to say, I've had an opportunity to spend some time with Secretary King way before today, and I can tell you that he has a heart for kids. He's also passionate about making sure that students graduate college or career ready and that they have the opportunity to enroll in post-secondary opportunities so that they can better themselves. So I want to just say from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Secretary King, for being here. Now I want you all students to listen very closely to his advice and use the information that he provides to make better decisions for your future. One of the most important things he will say will be to encourage you to take advantage of the federal financial aid application, or the FAFSA, because it can help you make your dreams to go to college become realities. If I can brag for a minute, the Shelby County Schools does a pretty good job with helping students complete their FAFSA applications. Even though we've increased our FAFSA application completion rate to 88%, which far exceeds the national average, we want every single one of our students to complete this application before they leave our schools. Now, we know that the success of our students is dependent upon the hard-working men and women who dedicate their lives to teaching and who go far and beyond the call of duty every single day to make sure our students are successful. For example, Ms. Christine Covenant from Westwood High. Ms. Covenant, are you here? Could you stand? 97%, I'm going to say it again, 97% of her students completed their financial aid applications, one of the first steps towards a path to a college education. Ms. Lawson from Melrose High School, would you please stand and be recognized? Now, Ms. Lawson had a 101% completion rate because she even got a junior to complete their FAFSA application. Ms. Keisha Jackson from East High School, would you please stand? They love you, don't they, Ms. Jackson? Ms. Jackson had an 87% completion rate in dealing with the FAFSA application. We appreciate your hard work. Now, students, these just aren't percentages or statistics. These are our counselors who work tirelessly with each and every one of you to ensure that you are on the right path, not just for graduation, but also to be career and college ready. And as you know, that is one of our goals of our Destination 2025 strategic plan. We want 100% of our graduates to be college and career ready. And to make that happen, we also realize that our teachers need specific support systems to help our students. This is why we launched an early warning system last year, which helps identify students based on their attendance, their behavior, and their credits who may need additional support. We've also expanded high school credit and grade recovery through a mix of online, face-to-face, and course options because we know that we have to meet our students where they are and provide them the tools necessary. Another big area of support is the seamless alignment and integrated support sales program, which prevents students from having to take remedial math in college. A wonderful example of the great work of our teachers in this area is Mr. Joseph Grovigi. Mr. G, a math and statistics teacher at Southwind High School. He had a 100% sales program completion rate for college readiness with 91% of his students who also enrolled in dual enrollment statistics. Thank you for your hard work, Mr. G. Now let me ask a very quick question as I get ready to sit down. When we talk about dual enrollment, how many students in this auditorium are take advantage of dual enrollment? Let me see your hands. We had over 1,200 students enrolled in more than 2,600 courses last year with a 90% or better pass rate. But once again, the success of our students is only possible by the great work of our teachers. Mr. Kurt Rakestraw. You here, sir? Could you stand up and be recognized? He's a world history teacher at White Station High School, and he grew his AP U.S. government class from 0 students to over 100 in just 3 years. But he is not just increasing the number of students taking advantage of these courses. Last year, 46% of his students got 5s on their AP exam. And that means the students are truly college ready. Thank you, Mr. Rakestraw. I can go on and on and on with the success stories of our teachers, our counselors, our principals, and everyone here who is trying to make a big difference in the lives of kids. But ultimately, if we want to continue increasing our graduation rate, we've got to make sure we stay focused on our goals and Destination 2025. So thank you again, students, for being extraordinary exemplars of all that's right with education. We have no doubt that our future is in great hands. And finally, I cannot stand in a room full of teachers without saying, teachers, from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of the Shelby County School Board, Secretary King, the entire city of Memphis and Shelby County, thank you, thank you, thank you for the hard work that you do every single day. I'm now going to turn over to Ms. Carpenter for a few words of encouragement.
Good evening. Secretary King, welcome to Memphis. Superintendent Hobson, thank you for your hard work. To our elected officials, thank you so much for working so hard on behalf of our children in this great city. I'm up here to encourage the students. I would like to challenge you to Google the caste system. In this country, the chances are pretty high that if you are born poor, you most likely will stay poor. If you're born rich, you're most likely to stay rich. This is called a caste system. I challenge you, students, to Google the caste system, and your only way out is education. I got a challenge for educators. Oh, God, y'all, I'm going through these cards. Oh, God. Oh, God. I challenge educators to please understand that some of our children the only place they will get to be kids is at school. Pour into them. You are the change agents. If you don't get the right God, if you don't get our kids, oh God, y'all, I'm nervous. If the educators don't pour into our children, they'll be stuck and they deserve the best. Parents, I charge you with this, and you have the greatest challenge. Parents have the greatest challenge, but it's the simplest challenge, and that is to demand great schools for your children. That's my challenge to you all, and especially our children. Education is your only way out. And I want to say, in the last 5 years, Superintendent Hobson, I got grandbabies at Shelby County schools, ASD schools, charter operators. I got children all over the city come out of my house. And I want to say to you that we want school choice. And parents deserve to choose what school their children go to. It's nothing against Shelby County schools. It's just that parents have the right to send their children wherever they want them to go. And I say thank you for the hard work that you do in this city and all the elected officials. Thank you.
Thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. John B. King. He is the U.S. Secretary of Education, a position he assumed in January 2016. Before becoming Secretary, King had served since January 2015 at the U.S. Department of Education as Principal Senior Advisor. In that role, Secretary King carried out the duties of Deputy Secretary, overseeing preschool through 12th grade education policies, programs, strategy, and as well as operations of the department. Secretary King joined the Department of Education after serving at the helm of the New York State Education Department from 2011 to 2015. In 2012, he was named the first African American and Puerto Rican to serve at the New York State Education Commissioner. As Commissioner, Secretary King served as Chief Executive Officer in New York Education Department and President of the University of the State of New York, with the responsibility overseeing the state's elementary and secondary schools, public colleges, universities, libraries, museums, and numerous other education institutions. Before arriving at the New York State Education Department in 2009 as Senior Deputy Commissioner, Secretary King was a Managing Director with Uncommon Schools, the nonprofit organization managing some of the highest performing urban public schools in New York, Massachusetts, and New Jersey. He also co-founded and led the nationally recognized Roxy Burby Preparatory Charter School in Boston. Under his leadership, the school's predominantly low-income students earned the highest state exam scores of any urban public middle school in Massachusetts, closed the achievement gap, and outperformed students in Boston City, as well as schools in the nearby affluent suburbs. King began his career in education as a high school social studies teacher in Puerto Rico and Boston. He holds bachelor's from Harvard University, a Juris Doctorate degree from Yale Law School, a Master's of Art Educational Doctorate from Teachers College at Columbia University. Secretary King resides in Tacoma Park, Maryland, with his wife, Melissa, and their 2 daughters. Please join me as we welcome Secretary King to the stage.
Thank you all. Thank you for that warm introduction. Good evening, Memphis. So I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you, Superintendent Dobson, for the opportunity to join you. Thank you to the school board members who are here with us, to the community leaders and educators who are here with us. I want to thank particularly the teachers and principals of the Memphis schools for the work that you do every day. I certainly want to thank Principal Dura and the Craigmont community for welcoming us here. I have heard great things about Craigmont. I've heard about the foreign exchange program. I've heard about the dual enrollment program. I've heard about the debate team and the robotics team and the championship basketball team and soccer team. We are proud of you, and we are proud to be here today. I also want to thank all the students and teachers who are here from other high schools around Memphis, and thank you for being a part of this conversation. And let me ask a few questions of the students. How many of you plan to go to college? There we go. How many of you will be the first in your family to go to college? How many of you, that's right, how many of you have already started talking to your high school counselors and teachers about what college you may want to choose? So today's conversation is really about how we ensure that you pursue your dreams through higher education. And I want to make sure that every student in the room understands that the application process and the financial aid application process should not be obstacles to pursuing your dreams. And so everything we're going to talk about today, I want to ask you not only to take in yourselves, but also to carry with you to other students. Because we have too many young people in this country who get discouraged and dissuaded from pursuing their dreams. They go to the FAFSA and they say, oh, that's going to be too complicated to fill out. Or they look at college applications and they say, oh, I'm not sure I can afford college. And so the conversation today is really about saying to you, yes, you can. Yes, you can go on to college. Yes, you can afford college. And we are here to help you. Now, I want to also encourage you not to be discouraged by obstacles that may get in your way outside of school. And I want to share with you my own personal experience around that. Now, as was mentioned, I grew up in Brooklyn. I grew up in New York City. I went to New York City public schools. When I was in 4th grade, when I was 8 years old, in October of my 4th grade year, my mom passed away. And then I lived with my father, who was quite sick with undiagnosed Alzheimer's disease. And so from one night to the next, I didn't know what home was going to be like. I didn't know what my father was going to be like. I can recall one night when he woke me up at 2 in the morning and said, it's time to go to school, it's time to go to school. And I said to him, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not time to go to school, Daddy. I remember holding on to the banister in my house, pleading with him that it wasn't time to go to school. And I didn't know what was wrong with him. And my dad passed away when I was 12, when I was in 7th grade. And I moved around between family members and schools. But through all of that period, what made the difference for me was New York City public schools, New York City public school teachers who saved my life. Those teachers could have looked at me and said, here's an African-American, Latino, male student growing up in New York City, going to New York City public schools with a family in crisis. What chance does he have? They could have written me off. But instead, they made school a place that was compelling and interesting and engaging and exciting every day. We did productions of Shakespeare in elementary school. We read the New York Times every day. I had great teachers who, when you finished a book, they were there with the next. When you finished a math problem, they were there with the next. We went to the museum and the ballet, and they gave me a sense of possibility beyond Canarsie, Brooklyn, where I was going to elementary school. Those teachers at PS 276 in Canarsie and Mark Twain Junior High School in Coney Island, they saved my life. They are the reason I'm alive today. They are the reason I'm standing here today with all of you. And I share that story not because I want it to be remarkable, but because I want it to be not remarkable. I believe we need to build a society where every child, every young person, no matter the obstacles they may face outside of school, has the opportunity through education to pursue their dreams and to become their best selves. That's right. And so this conversation today is about that. It is about how we transcend whatever circumstances we may face. We overcome whatever obstacles we may face to pursue our dreams. And I want to tell you that higher education can be the path to do that. We know that folks with a college degree earn more than $1 million more over the course of their lives as a result of that degree. Now, it doesn't mean everybody will get a 4-year degree, and some people will get a 2-year degree, and some people will get post-secondary career training, and some people, I see our ROTC students here, will go to the military, and that will be a part of pursuing their education. But the key is, in today's 21st century economy, to be able to compete, to be able to have a family-sustaining wage, to be able to look out for your family, to be able to participate in civic life, post-secondary education isn't optional, it's essential. And so that's what today's conversation is about. And I want to tell you to start by thinking about where might you want to go? What might you want to pursue? What areas of study are of interest to you? And as you do that, there are some tools that you can take advantage of. And I'm going to show them to you, but we have something called the college scorecard that we've created at the department. Because we want your decision about college not to be one that you make by default. Well, I knew somebody who went there. Well, I heard about it sometime. I saw a commercial on TV. Their sports team is one I root for. We want you to make the decision about college based on what is best for you. Which college has the program that matches your interests, your needs, and what you want to accomplish in your career. We want you to choose a college that makes sense for you financially. We want you to understand the investment you are making when you choose a college. We want you to know that that college is going to provide the supports necessary to ensure that you don't just get to college, but through college to graduation. Right? The mission here isn't just for students to enroll in college in September after they graduate from high school. It's to see them walk across the stage. It's to see all of you walk across that stage with a quality degree that will allow you to be successful in the 21st century economy. And so we want you to ask those questions as you think about the college that you choose. Is this a college that will let me earn what I want to earn? Is this a college that will let me earn enough to pay off whatever I might have to borrow? And so we're going to look at the college scorecard, but in the college scorecard you can see what programs a school offers, what the cost is, what the graduation rate is, what the average earnings are of people who graduate from that school, and how well folks from that school are able to pay back any debt that they may have. And so we're going to take a look at that. That's at collegescorecard.ed.gov, and that's a resource, a tool, just like all the folks in this room who are here to talk about colleges with you are a resource. Your school counselor, a resource. Your teachers, a resource. But you've got to be a discriminating customer. You've got to ask, well, what kind of campus is it? And where is it located? And what kind of supports are in place? And what are the credit requirements in the area that I might want to major in? Right, you have to ask all of those questions as you think about which college to attend. And when it comes to the financial aspects of applying to college, you've got to take seriously that you're the customer and that the financial commitments you make around college are lifelong commitments, so you have to be careful about those decisions. And you have to think about how much of my college education will be paid for through grants. Right? Grants are the free money, essentially, that you can get from the federal or state government, or from your college or university, or from a foundation that supports students going on to higher education. But figuring out how much you're getting in grants that you will not have to pay back is critical. And the FAFSA, which will be available now on October 1st, will help you to do that. It'll help you to figure out, will you be able to take advantage of the federal Pell Grant program, for example. Because of the President's leadership, Pell Grants now have a value $1,000 more than when the President began. Over $5,800 per year towards your higher education that you can get from the federal government as a grant if you qualify for Pell Grants. So it's important to figure out, do you qualify? It's important to figure out if you could qualify for work study, where you'd be able to have a job, maybe on campus, maybe in a public service activity in the community, maybe in an area that will prepare you for your career. But work study dollars can help to make college affordable. It's important to figure out if you're eligible for federal student loans and what those student loans will look like and the flexible interest rates and payment rates that are available through the federal student loan program. And it's important to figure out if there are other resources that you can tap into from the school district, from the university, right, from foundations. How else can you put together the resources that you need to pursue your higher education? And the FAFSA is the starting point for that. That becomes available on October 1st, and it's important not only that it's available so early this year for the first time. We moved it up from January to October. The President asked us to do that to make it easier for families and students to understand their financial aid options. But also we've made it possible for folks to use their prior year tax return to complete the FAFSA. So you'll be able to use a tax return that's already been submitted for your parent or parents. And that will allow you to complete the form much more quickly. You actually will be able to download the information from your tax return right into the FAFSA. Used to take an hour or more for the average person to complete the FAFSA. We've got it down to 20 minutes. right? And that's important, that's right. And Tennessee is committed as a state to making sure, as you heard about here in Memphis, making sure students complete the FAFSA so they know what their options are. Now, as you complete your college application and your FAFSA, one of the things you want to think about is, what's the real cost of a college for me? I was at a high school in Washington, D.C. a few months back with students looking at something called the Pell Abacus. It's a tool that uses information from the scorecard to help students figure out what schools will actually cost them once you account for grants and other financial aid. And I was sitting with a student who discovered, using the Pell Abacus tool, that actually the school he thought was inaccessible, that was going to be unaffordable, was actually less expensive than the school he thought he had to go to for financial reasons. The only reason he knew that is because he took advantage of that tool and took advantage of the information about his options. And so today we're going to share that college scorecard with you. We're going to take questions about the college application and admissions process. But I want you to know that the President and First Lady, one of their top priorities from the moment they came to the White House was trying to expand access to higher education. It is an area of focus for the First Lady through the Reach Higher initiative. And she's committed time every week that they have been in the White House to talking with young people about the power of pursuing post-secondary education. So I want you to have confidence in what you can achieve. Know that the President and First Lady are behind you. I know that the Memphis Public Schools are behind you. I know that the community leaders here in Memphis and Shelby County are behind you. And we're proud of you and we support you and we want to see you reach your dreams. So now I want to ask Kevin, who's here with us, a student, to come up and help us take a look at the college scorecard. How you doing? Good to meet you. All right, so Kevin, you're going to help us take a look at the college scorecard. And if you have your phone with you, I know you don't usually get to use your phone maybe in school, but you can take out your phone if you have one and follow along with us, collegescorecard.ed.gov. All right, so here's the application on the website, collegescorecard.ed.gov. Now, Kevin, where are you headed to school?
I plan on taking advantage of the Tennessee Promise, going to Southwest Community College, and finishing off with a master's at the University of Memphis.
Okay. All right, so why don't we take a look at, fantastic. Why don't we take a look at University of Memphis? All right, so here we have information about University of Memphis, how many students are there, the fact that it's a 4-year school, that it's a public university. We have the average annual cost, the graduation rate, and the average salary after attending.
Just that easy?
Just that easy. Did they tell you to say that? That was good.
I thought it was more complex.
I feel like I'm on a TV show. That was great. All right, let's keep scrolling down. Why don't we look at the student body? What can we find out about the student body here? It's a big school. Yeah? All right, keep going down. All right, and so here, no. Let's take a look at the diversity of the student body. And so one of the things you can see here is how many of the students are full-time or part-time. You can see the diversity of the student body. You can start to get a sense of, is this the school? Is this the kind of school I'd want? Does this school have the kind of community that I want? Now, what is it that appeals to you, Kevin, about University of Memphis?
University of Memphis keeps me near home, and I plan on doing the business management and supply chain management through University of Memphis. And I speak with multiple counselors at University of Memphis since I visit there most of the time for competitions like robotics and student council, etc. So I am constantly connected to the University of Memphis, and I feel like I'm more applicable to achieve there.
Excellent. Excellent. That's a great explanation. All right. Let's take a look, if we could, at the academic programs available at University of Memphis. All right. Now, we see some of the most popular programs at the University of Memphis that students are taking, and we also see a list of the available areas of study. So this is another way that you can start to look at colleges and figure out, do they have the kinds of things that I'm interested in? One thing I'll highlight here is education, and I want to urge students in the room who are thinking about teaching. I get supply chain management, but still teaching is in a way a kind of supply chain management, right? Ensuring that we have a supply of well-prepared citizens. So I want to encourage students in the room to think about pursuing education. And one of the things that we need very much is to diversify our teacher workforce in the United States. You know, today in our U.S. public schools, a majority of students are students of color. But only 18% of our teachers are teachers of color. Only 2% of our teachers are African American men. So I want to urge students to think about, is teaching a path for you? Is that a way that you could contribute and give back? Is that a way that you can get the satisfaction that all of us as educators have as we watch all of you? I became a teacher and then a principal because I wanted to try to do for other kids what my teachers have done for me, and I would love for you all to think about something similar. All right. Now, what other schools might you consider? If you couldn't go to University of Memphis, is there another school that you would think about?
I would consider somewhere more far, like UTI or University of Phoenix, mainly because I have family members there also. And plus, it's like a small vacation while getting your education.
Got it. Small vacation. I like that. I like that. UTI is where?
University Technical Institute next to Arizona.
Okay. All right. Can we see if we can find that?
You sure this is Tool? It feels like Christmas already.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
How about University Technical Institute, you said? All right. All right. Now that looks like it's in Ohio. So I assume you don't want to go to Ohio. You might.
Well,
Ohio's
maybe.
nice.
I'm open-minded.
All right. All right. Well, let's take a look. Since we're here, let's take a look at Ohio State University Technical Institute. And one of the things you can think about is you get this easy comparison of the actual cost, the graduation rate, and the salary after attending. And so as you start to think about colleges, you can start to comparison shop. So at the end of the day, you're the customer. And we want to find the right college that is the right match for you. What are some of the other things, Kevin, for you that are important about the college that you attend? What kinds of activities, for example, would you want to do there?
The type of activities that would interest me is anything that involves multiple functions that work together. Like my interest would be the automotive, but I also want to be the more businessman behind automotives.
Okay.
So that could be either business academics, robotics, technology, engineering. It could be, I have a wide spectrum. Call me a tinkerer.
Great. Great. I like that. So the thing I would encourage you is tools like the college scorecard are only going to give you a sliver of the information that you actually want to have about a college. Scorecard's not going to be enough. So as you start to ask questions like, do they have robotics programs available at the school? You may not be able to find that information on the scorecard if it's not one of their degree programs, but you may want to go to visit the campus, you want to talk to your counselor about it, you want to talk to your teachers about it. But you've got to start to think about this as an opportunity to do research about the schools that you're interested in so that you make well-informed choices. All right, so last question for you, Kevin. Who's been a teacher who's made a difference for you? And what was it that, this is a chance to thank a teacher. Tell us about a teacher who's made a big difference for you in your education.
It's kind of hard to choose one because as, like yourself, you have multiple teachers that are helping to persuade you, influence you, being able to push you on. Like, I'm influenced by multiple adults. Like right now, you're an influence to me. Standing here right now is just amazing. So, I've always grabbed influence from most teachers, but I would believe that Craigmont High School is a team effort when it comes to teachers. I cannot just name one teacher here. I mean, you have Mr. Kelly, that's right there. You have Ms. Ed Scorn, and especially we cannot forget our principal, Dr. Durr, right here with us right now.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate your sharing this college shopping moment with the rest of the students here. And now we're going to turn to some questions and answers with student interviewers.
Mind if I ask one question for you?
Sure.
What would be one life lesson or one quote that you carry with you that you're willing to share with our bright young minds here today?
Great. That's a good question. I'll tell you, so one thing I would share is the importance of asking questions and asking for help. When you get to college, the reality is there are going to be challenging moments. There's going to be a class that's hard. There's going to be a paper you're not going to do as well on as you'd want. There's going to be a midterm exam where you may not perform as well as you'd want. There's going to be a professor who you're not sure about your relationship with the professor and whether or not you're getting what you need from that class. There's going to be challenges at home. There may be challenges with peers. So it's not always going to be easy. And the key thing is that you've got to be willing to ask for help. Whether it's from a counselor, whether it's going to the professor's office hours, whether it's finding a group of peers to study with, whether it's talking to your family about it or coming back and talking to your teachers here about your experience. But that willingness to ask for help, to ask questions, to not feel like you have to do it on your own, but know that there's a whole world of people who are ready to support you if you'll ask. That, I think, is critical. And I certainly wouldn't be here today if not for mentors and teachers throughout my life who were a resource for me when there were times when I was struggling.
Amazing. That deserves a hand, everybody. Thank you, sir, and I hope to see you again.
Thank you. Another round of applause for Kevin.
Okay. Okay, at this time, we're going to ask Secretary King if he'll take come on down and let's take some questions from our students around FAFSA, the application process. Who wants to go for? Okay, young man.
Good afternoon.
Can you tell us your name and your school?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Darteria West. I attend Douglas High School as the 11th grade student principal. My question today, what are you doing to make college more affordable for all students? Before you answer the question, I see on the news the increase in tuition and even books that we are required to pay to get a college education.
It's a great question. So I'll tell you the good news and then I'll tell you what I'm worried about. So the good news is the president has worked very hard over the last 8 years to ensure that college is affordable. One of the first things the president did was to invest in the federal direct loan program. So tens of billions of dollars are going to students rather than banks because the federal government is providing student loans at reasonable rates with flexibility around repayment plans. So that was one of the first steps. The president also put in place something called the American Opportunity Tax Credit, which allows people to get a tax benefit for pursuing higher education. We also have increased Pell Grants, as I mentioned, by $1,000 to make Pell Grants a more useful tool for low-income families in particular to take advantage of higher education. And the president's proposed something called America's College Promise, which builds on what Tennessee has done through the Tennessee Promise and would make 2 years of community college as automatic across the United States as K through 12 education. It's an important proposal. Now, the challenge, however, is that states have not always held up to their end of the bargain. I wish all governors and legislatures were as committed to higher education as you've had in Tennessee. Unfortunately, there are many states where investments in higher education have been cut over the years. In fact, we did a study at the department that showed over the last 20 years the nation's investment in prisons has skyrocketed, while the investment in public higher education has either been flat or been going down. And so President believes, I believe, that we have to shift our priorities as a country. And so we're urging Congress to do that and working with Congress on that at the federal level, but we also need states to step up because states' investment in public higher education is crucial to making sure that college stays affordable. And thank you for your question.
Thank you so much for your question. Okay, who's next? Okay, stand up and tell us your name and your school.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Jasmine Norman. I'm a senior at Douglas High School, and I'm also one of the first members of the Memphis Youth City Council. My question to you today is, what other financial resources are available for students other than FAFSA and scholarships?
Well, so the FAFSA is an important starting place because it's not only the way that you find out what federal financial aid you can get, but the FAFSA is used by colleges and universities to figure out what grants and aid they can provide. It's also often used by states to determine if there are state assistance that you can get. So it's important to realize the FAFSA is not just about the federal aid, it is about access to aid for college generally. States are making important investments. Certainly Tennessee Promise is a good example of that here in Tennessee. There are also often state programs that are focused on particular areas of study. There are also federal programs that are focused on particular areas of study. For example, I mentioned becoming a teacher. We actually have a federal teacher loan forgiveness program that's designed to help make it more affordable for folks to choose teaching. There are also national scholarships and scholarship competitions, and one of the important things about going to see your college counselor, high school counselor, is to talk about what those other financial aid opportunities may be. And at the end of the day, you may have to borrow, and one of the things to know about student loans that we've done with the federal loans is to say that we will cap how much you have to pay based on your income. Because we want to make sure that people can choose public service fields and still be able to afford their loans. And so we have something called income-based repayment where we cap the amount that you have to pay on your federal loans at about 10% of your income. So there are lots of options, but you got to make sure to research them thoroughly. It's a great question. Thanks.
You all are awesome. Okay, no, you're awesome. Go on. Next question.
My name is Jasmine Watson. I go to East High School. And my question is, at one point in time, a high school diploma was the standard for being successful in the job force. Then it became a bachelor's degree. So do you think we're headed for a time where a graduate degree is the only way to get a good job?
You know, certainly it is true, and your point is a very good one. You know, when you look at the future of the nation's economy, about 2/3 of the jobs that will be created are going to require post-secondary education over the next decade. So for sure, post-secondary education is a foundation. Again, that could be a 2-year or 4-year. That could be a technical certificate. I do think for certain competitive fields, yes, that graduate study is going to become more and more important. Fortunately, as you graduate from college and find a good job, often there are opportunities for employers to help cover some of the cost of pursuing graduate study. There are certain fields where you have a period of time during which you can complete your graduate study in order to qualify for that profession. But I think the reality is when you look internationally, what many of our international competitors understand is that the most important investment a country can make is in its young people and in their knowledge and skills. And so as we are in a competitive economic environment where skills matter more and more, pursuing higher education, including graduate study, becomes more and more important. As you do that, it's also critically important that you make good choices about majors and match those degrees to the actual jobs that you're interested in, the pursuits that you want to have. And I worry sometimes that some students aren't spending enough time thinking through how does my decision-making about higher education connect with my vision for my career. That's critically important. Thanks.
Great questions.
Good afternoon. My name is Dallas Moore, and I attend East High School, and I am a senior. I am also one of the first members of the Memphis Youth City Council. My question is, given the recent violent incidents that have been happening around the country, what is your office doing to make schools safer for all of us?
It's a great question. So, a number of things. One of the things we're doing in K through 12 is focusing on bullying and trying to reduce bullying in schools. We also just recently put out guidance to school districts all around the country about the role of school resource officers. We worry that in too many schools, the school resource officer is becoming the person responsible for discipline. So something that should be handled by an educator ends up being handled by arresting a student or using force with the student, as we saw in the incident that took place in South Carolina. You've probably seen on TV. And so our guidance is focused on saying to schools, educators need to be the ones involved in discipline. School resource officers can be a resource in the school. They can be mentors. They can be a positive source of relationships between police and the community. But discipline needs to be the responsibility of the folks who work in schools. We also have held a meeting with university presidents to talk about making sure that college campuses are attentive to issues of diversity, are creating environments that are safe for all students. We're doing a lot of work to make sure that colleges and universities keep students safe from sexual violence, which is a significant problem across the country. So we are very committed that one of the first jobs of a school or university is to keep their students safe. But the other thing, and I will challenge all of you to help us with this, is we have to have and I know the president believes this, we have to have a national conversation about issues of race and class. And the conversation about the relationship between police and the community has to be a part of that. A few weeks ago, I was at the school where Philando Castile worked. He was an African-American man who oversaw the school cafeteria in a school in St. Paul, public elementary school in St. Paul, and he was killed in an interaction with police in Falcon Heights, Minnesota. And I went to the school really to mourn with the teachers and staff there and with the parents there, and to talk about Philando, who was beloved on the staff there and had great relationships with kids. And one of the things I was struck by in talking with them is that around issues of race, folks had no idea what other people's experience was. That many of the white parents that I spoke to in that meeting had no sense of what it felt like to be an African-American, and particularly an African-American man in the community. They were shocked to hear about the kinds of interactions folks were having with police. And so I think one of our challenges is we just have to be more courageous as a country in how we have conversations about race. And all of you need to be a part of that. We need you to be in those conversations. I'm glad that you're on the Youth City Council. We need folks to get active in civic engagement, not just vote, but to be active in the conversation about who gets to be district attorney and what their priorities are, right? Active in the conversations about what kinds of training police receive, about how to handle situations with citizens. Active in the conversations about educational equity, housing equity. We need young people in those conversations, and frankly, we need you leading those conversations. Because how the world is today is partly because of mistakes that we have made. And we need your leadership to change that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Dr. King. My name is Layla Blackwell, and I'm a senior at the Central High School. And my question for you today is, what ways other than standardized testing has the Department of Education been using to gauge the success of a school and its students?
That's a great question. So, a couple of things. Mentioned earlier was this new law, the Every Student Succeeds Act, new federal education law. The president signed it in December. That law is a reauthorization of the original Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965. It's a civil rights law. One of the primary responsibilities of the federal government in education is to protect students' civil rights. So one of the things that we look at on whether or not a school is successful in delivering what it should is, are all students getting access to quality opportunities? We heard about the dual enrollment program here. In too many places, African American, Latino students, low-income students have less access to AP classes, international baccalaureate classes, dual enrollment opportunities. That's an example of schools not delivering on student civil rights. That's a problem, and we try to intervene in those situations to make sure that states and districts do more to make those opportunities available. We think with this new federal law, there's an opportunity for states to look at, well, not just whether or not students have strong English and math skills. We know that you need that, but that's not sufficient. for a quality education. You need science and social studies and access to art and music. And schools need to be responsible to deliver that for all kids regardless of zip code. And so we also ask our students getting a well-rounded education. We ask our students getting access to counseling. We talked a lot about the role of school counselors. We just did a report on civil rights issues, our civil rights data survey, and showed there are 1.6 million students in this country who go to a school that has a sworn law enforcement officer and no school counselor. Right? That is a failure of schools, and that's a failure of the adults. We have to fix that. We also look at discipline and how discipline is handled. We did an analysis of pre-K. We found that African American students in pre-K are more than 3 times as likely to be suspended from school as white students in pre-K, 4-year-olds. And so whether or not schools are safe and supportive environments is also a part of how we look at whether or not a school is successful. And then ultimately, what we've just been talking about, whether or not students graduate ready to succeed in college, able to persist in college, and then graduating from college, has to be how we look at the success of the system. And one of the things I admire about the Tennessee Promise conversation and what the governor and state legislature have done here is to say the measure of our work has to be not just test scores, but whether or not students actually get to college, get through college, have meaningful degrees, and are successfully employed.
Okay, we have time for 2 more questions. Okay?
Hello, Dr. King. I am Stacy Hardy, and I'm a senior at Craigmont High School. I was wondering, since there are several students who attend public high schools and are not legal U.S. citizens, and with the changes in the FAFSA, are there any new guidelines to help them apply to attend college?
It's a great question.
Awesome question.
So unfortunately, we have not yet been able to persuade the country that we ought to make federal financial aid available to students who are undocumented. But I will say my view is that we should, because undocumented students are part of our community. They are graduating from our high schools. They are staying in the community. And we have a responsibility to ensure the full range of educational opportunities for our students, regardless of their immigration status. Unfortunately, under current federal law, federal aid is not available. States can do something different. I know that conversation is underway in Tennessee, and I hope the state will do the right thing. But I believe states should step up. And when I was New York State Commissioner, I argued for this in New York. States should step up and ensure that students who are undocumented have access to higher education. We know that colleges and philanthropists are stepping up. I know we have the president here from Christian Brothers who will tell you they have stepped up. They are ensuring that undocumented students have access to opportunity there. And so we have work to do to move the national conversation on this. But to me, it's very simple. If students are here and a part of our community, we have a stake in their long-term success. And the only people... No, everyone is hurt. Everyone is hurt. Not just the students, but the whole community are hurt when we deny opportunities to students. So thank you for the question.
And we are going to take our last question.
Good afternoon. My name is Oscar Rodriguez from Kingsbury High School. Today's question is, what is currently being done to assist students who have been here since they were little but may not have the documentation to prove their citizenship?
Yeah, so one of our challenges here, the president put in place the DACA program, which is helping many thousands of students have the opportunity to pursue their higher education and to join the workforce. We're looking to expand that program. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court, in a recent decision, limited the scope of the program only to the folks who are currently eligible rather than including their parents. We want to continue to work to change that. The president has called for comprehensive immigration reform, which is what we need as a country. Anything short of comprehensive immigration reform is going to cause us to have continued places where families and young people are getting denied opportunities that they should have. So we're trying to change that. We need Congress to take a different view. And we need all of you to be active in that conversation. It comes back to this idea that we need young people to be active, not only in voting, but active in the civic discourse of the community here in Tennessee and across the country, to insist that Congress take a different approach and that we get to comprehensive immigration reform. So that everyone has the opportunity to get a good education and also to be employed and to have full access to services like healthcare and housing and so forth. Thanks for the question.
I want to thank all of our young people for the beautiful questions and the thoughtful questions. Thank you. And let's give Secretary King a hand for answering our young people's questions. We appreciate that. And I am going to get my closing remarks. I am so incredibly proud of the work that we are doing as just not here at Craigmont High School, but for Shelby County schools. And I'm so honored that Secretary King can see our work, and he sees the hard work that the district leaders, principals, educators, and most importantly, parents and students are doing to make us be successful here in Tennessee. So let's give all of ourselves a hand for the work that we're doing. As we prepare our students for Destination 2025, I have to put in a little pitch for Craigmont High School. I'm just a little biased. But we have increased our graduation rate by 6% in a single year. Craigmont increased our FAFSA completion rate, and we have strengthened the conversation around college and career readiness. And our teachers, our parents, and our community stakeholders are committed to that. So we're thankful for that. I would especially like to thank Secretary King for taking the time to present the new streamlined FAFSA process to our Shelby County students. I want to thank Superintendent Hobson and Shelby County officials for coming out. Let's give all of our Shelby County district leaders a hand. I also want to acknowledge our wonderful board president, Mrs. Teresa Jones, and all of our entire Shelby County school board members. Can they stand, please? Thank you. Thank you. I want to also thank Representative Antonio Parks. Could you stand up for us? And all of our elected community officials. Is Mayor Luttrell in the house? Okay. Additionally, all of our community members who joined us on this day of celebration, including Christian Brothers President, I want to thank all of you for your presence on behalf of Shelby County Schools. Thank you. And most importantly, I want to thank our awesome parents and students who are truly committed to success. Give yourselves a hand. Give your parents a hand. So as we close this joyous celebration that we had today, I need all of our students to remain seated, and I need all of our educators at our various schools to ensure that our students remain seated while we allow our distinguished guests, Secretary King, and district and city officials an opportunity to exit the gymnasium. Thank you.